Hi, in this video we will do an overview of the demographics report. So let's start with the definition. So the definition of demographic reports is that the demographic details report provides key characteristics about the people who use your website or your app, including the user's language, interests, location, age and gender, and a couple of more things that we will discover. So here we have a note that only aggregated data from users who consent to sharing the demographics data are included in the report. So people who have given the consent to share the data, only that data will be provided in the report. And the second note is that the demographics and interest data come from activating Google signals. So if you haven't activated the Google signals in your Google Analytics property, then you won't be able to see this data. And for those who don't know what is Google Signals, Google Signals is a feature by Google that provides access to session data from websites and apps that Google associate with the user who has signed in their Google account and turned on ads personalization. So this is just a feature that provides access to data from people who have either signed in their Google account and turn on the ads personalization. So basically they're sharing their data such as their gender, their language, their interests and age and things like that. So only then you will get the data in your reports. So with that, let's start with the dimension. And the first dimension is the age. So the age of the user by bracket. So it doesn't tell you the age just by a single number like 18, 19, 20, things like that. It will include a bracket so that it will be easier to get all the data in one place. So the brackets are 18 to 24, 25 to 34 and things like that. So you can see this in your reports. Next is the city. So the city from where the user is coming from. So like if somebody is visiting from New York City, then the New York will populate the dimension. Next is country. So the country from which the user is coming from. So for example, if somebody is visiting your website from United States, then the United States will appear in the dimension. So the next is the gender. So the gender of the person. So like if somebody is male or female. The next is interests. So this is a little interesting. So the interest of the user, such as like the arts and entertainment, games, sports, basically what they are interested in. Some people are interested in technology, people are interested in gardening and games, sports, things like that. So this will populate the dimension, and users can be counted in multiple interest categories. So like it's not important that every single user will have only one interest. So a single user can be counted in multiple different categories, and this is the same concept as affinity segments in Google Ads. So for those who don't know, affinity segments is something that will help you reach your audience based on what they're passionate about and their habits and their interests. So this is something, the concept is fairly similar. The next is the language. So the name of the language of a user's browser or their device. So if I am using my device in Hindi or in French or Spanish, so that will populate the dimension. It doesn't matter, most of the time it happens that my native language is Hindi, but I use my browser in English and my device is also in English. So they will clearly not tell you their native language, but they will tell you the language of their browser or their device. So the next is the region. Region is the geographic region or the province or the state from which the user is coming from. So if somebody is coming from like New York City, then New York will populate, or somebody is visiting from England, then England will populate the dimension. Or like in India, if somebody is coming from Haryana, then Haryana will populate the dimension. So now we will look at the metrics. So the metrics are fairly similar from all other reports that we have seen before. So the first is average engagement time. So the average time that your website was in focus of your user's browser or your app was in the foreground of a user's device. So that will be average and that will be the time. Next is conversion. So the number of times user trigger a conversion event. Next is engaged session. We have talked about this before, and the number of sessions that lasted either 10 seconds or longer, or had one or more conversion events, or had two or more page or screen views. Next is engaged session per user. So as you can see, like it will tell you the number of engaged sessions that are happening on a user basis. Next is engagement rate. So like the percentage of sessions that were engaged session, and the opposite of the engagement session is bounce rate. So the percentage of sessions that were not engaged sessions. Next is event count. So the number of times user triggered a specific event. And the new users, so like how many new users are coming to your site, the people who are interacting with your site or launching your app for the first time, and the number of distinct or active users on your site. So these are the metrics, dimensions and everything. Now let's look at the actual report. So we are in the demo account of GA4, and here you can see you have your charts, and these are your dimensions that we have talked about. So like the country, and you can also see their language. So these are the languages, and you have your all the different metrics like users, new users, engaged session, engagement rate, events. As you may remember that we have to, like if you have to look for a specific event, then you can just click on this drop down and choose a particular event. And same is for conversion and your total revenue. So this was the report. In the next lesson, we will learn how to customize this report to your liking, and to understand how, where the users are coming from and what are their demographics, So if you have any questions related to this or any other lesson, then let me know and I will love to help you.